ready to go. Good.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Authoritas Tea Time SEO, where we encourage everyone to take a break, have a cup of tea or coffee with us, and connect with others, and of course, learn something new from our experts. For those that don't know me, I'm SEO Joe Blogs, growth marketer here at Authoritas, and I'm also joined here by Carrie Shepherd.
Hi, guys.
Today we have two great speakers, Pınar Ünsal and Oliver Hearsum. Pınar was here a couple of weeks ago sharing her insights, and today both of them will be talking about making paid and organic work together. Welcome everyone that's joined, Tom and Chris so far, and I think Lawrence is joining soon too, and some of the rest of the team. Please add your questions to the chat, and we will then be able to, Carrie will take over and start asking the questions, and we'll get some great insights for all of you. So without further ado, I will pass over to Pınar to introduce herself and to share some of the tips. Oh, just here, before I do that, Lawrence, I've run out of biscuits. Okay, so if everyone likes to join for Tea Time SEO, you can take a photo of your tea cup or your coffee cup with your cake and biscuits and share it with us. And I'm going to eat some virtual biscuits now. So I'll pass over to Pınar. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm glad to be here again. Yeah, I just put a different picture this time. It's from the office yesterday. I had to stop by, and in Istanbul, we now have to wear masks when we go out. So this is a picture of me with my new outfits. So today, yeah, I have no mask because I'm at home, so I'm safe. So I'm Pınar. I'm one of the founders of Kubix Digital. We are a search-focused digital marketing agency based in Istanbul and Berlin. And I've also put that we have been best small integrated search agency in 2017 and 19 at the European Search Awards, because I thought it fits now to our topic of the integration of PPC and SEO. I started off my career in digital marketing at Google in Dublin in 2005, and then in 2006 I moved together with Google to Istanbul to open the office here, and then in 2007 I left, and together with two other Googlers I founded Kubix Digital. I'm also a judge for the US Search Awards. So let's dive straight into our topic, SEO and PPC. For us at Kubix Digital, it's really like me and Young, because from day one, we always said it belongs together. And because it's all about finding the right strategy for a user searching on Google or other search engines. That's what we always put in our mission. And also when we meet our clients, sometimes they only want one service from us. For example, we start off with a PPC, but then later on, we always try to tell them as well, don't neglect SEO, and we think it belongs together because you can both benefit from each other, and because the user really doesn't differentiate most of the time between an ad or an organic result. And I have two interesting statistics for you in the next slide that actually, as you know, Google is doing a lot of A/B testing on their results, and now the newest thing with this little ad icon that you can hardly see is that Google really is blurring the line between natural and paid search results. And if you look at this here on the left, you have really, it's a bit small, but these are normally 4 ads you can see, and just below that there's 2 organic results. And does this image contain any ads? And only 59% said yes. So 41% of the people that were asked don't even know that these were ads. So like I said, the user doesn't really differentiate where they click. The next one, it's even more interesting, because on mobile, it gets more difficult to come as an organic result. This is like another one that is from Yard. They had one below the fold after the ads. You can see with this testing with these fav icons, they asked again, and most of the people said, yeah, I think these are ads, but it's 55% that these are ads, but they are no ads. And when you look at the age, you can see the older the people get, the more they think these are ads. I thought this was a very interesting statistic, to share with you today, because it really shows that, let's say you only in paid or do only PPC, but then people don't even see it, that it's an ad. So it doesn't really matter. So we at Kubix Digital think that SEO and PPC working together shows the real superpowers. So it's not really two Batman and Superman against each other. It's the best when they work together. So we think that an integration, not only SEO and PPC, we also put content marketing in there, because we think that also this is a part of the puzzle. And if you adopt a more holistic approach and don't think in silos, both teams, if they are separated in your company or agency, they can benefit from each other. For example, in a search terms report, I put another example from one of our clients in the next slide. Yeah, here you see, for example, search terms for life coaching. So, for example, how to become a life coach gives you quite a lot of impressions. And in PPC side, for example, you would maybe exclude this keyword, but that could help the people in the SEO department to put out great piece of content, how to become a life coach for that client. So here you can see the accurate data as well, because most of the tools you use only give you estimates, also Google Search Console as well. You don't see that the data there matches with the real data. But if you have a PPC campaign and you can look into that as well, you can use these impressions because they are the real search volume that happens there. If you have an unlimited budget for this campaign, then you can either say, okay, look, in 1 month, this keyword was searched this many times in a month. So what I also wanted to show is that PPC is not just paid search, because there's new search formats coming out really quite a lot, and Google is testing a lot. And here's one example that they did, for example, an ad, normal search ad with an image, with a carousel image. You can put, here it is for frozen meals. That one I thought is interesting. So it gets even more difficult in mobile to show yourself with organic results. So PPC is a must. But think also about shopping campaigns, remarketing, and display campaigns. These are also very important. So how can SEO help PPC campaigns? This is something that we get asked also. It's not just vice versa, it can help also your PPC campaigns, because if you have an SEO optimized website, like I said, the shopping campaigns, they benefit, for example, from an SEO optimized product page, because then the ad gets triggered more often. So if both work together well, then your shopping campaign also performs better if your website landing page is SEO optimized. And also a keyword research done by SEOs can help people from the PPC department for their negative keyword list, because there you really see if it's very well thought keyword research, there will be lots of keywords that will be negative because they're non-commercial, because people are wondering, okay, how to do this, how to do that, and then you can put these really as negatives in your keyword research for PPC. So this is another thing that helps both parties. And how can you really, in a company or agency, promote collaboration between teams? So what we think is important is that we have similar goals for both teams. If they are separated in your company, in our company, they are not separated like we have it, that we have 2-3 people working for one project. If it's SEO and PPC together, then we really have meetings together every week, and we have similar metrics to look at, similar goals, and then you can really put the customer in the center and then talk about the goals, because in the end of the day, it's the customer. It's nothing really between departments that you have to, oh, I am better, or they are better, or they are more successful. They should be in the same department. If they're not in the same department, like I said, meetings can help. Ideally combined with PPC for maximum collaboration. Is like, don't separate them in different floors and stuff, we think. And if you do, then have regular meetings. Okay, this is all. I think I was on time. So now over to Ollie.
Thanks, Pınar. I'm Ollie. I'm the search strategist at Strategic. So I began my career as a copywriter before moving into paid social, paid search, and now primarily SEO. So I've been lucky enough to work on large global brands, but also making a difference for those smaller local businesses as well. So as Pınar alluded to, it shouldn't be seen as SEO versus PPC. It should be an integrated search strategy. So to use the economics phrase, it shouldn't be a zero-sum game where one has to benefit and the other to lose. They should be able to mutually beneficial to each other. So I often use the analogy of squabbling siblings, or friends in this case. So if left to their own devices, they can cause havoc. But if correctly supervised, aligned and focused, they can play nicely together. And obviously, there is that deep-rooted appreciation for each specialism as well. Okay, so just further to that, it's important you don't pin your hopes on just one channel in isolation. You need to be there at various touch points. As Pınar alluded to, some consumers will engage with paid ads, whereas others have that sort of banner blindness. But it's also important to feature and understand how you can nurture prospects. So at the moment, we're seeing a lot of people with slightly more time on their hands than maybe they had previously. So advice and informational content is performing really well. But we don't want that consumer or user just to visit the site and then leave and then not have a further touch point with you. So again, as Pınar alluded to, it's where you bolt on your paid advertising, your remarketing, to then serve other related and relevant content to them to hopefully then eventually convert them into a paying customer. Obviously, Utopia is securing strong visibility and conversions across both paid search and organic search for your key revenue driving terms. So it's really important you get closer to the data. So there's a wealth of data available to both PPC and SEO teams. So PPC campaigns are great for quick insights and for testing. So you can see conversions on a keyword level, which you can then use to inform your organic efforts. You can also look at headline performance. So any A/B tests you've done there can inform any updates to meta titles and descriptions, any enhancements to page copy if it's really resonating with your audience. You can also look at the quality of landing pages. So going beyond the quality score metrics available within Google Ads, but also looking at user engagement. So what's the conversion rate? What's the bounce rate? Before then making adjustments to your SEO strategy. And also looking at terms from your dynamic search ad campaigns. So are there any terms that are coming through in that you hadn't necessarily thought about, but they can and have the potential to drive conversions for you? Similarly, SEOs have a wealth of data as well. So in terms of keyword research tools, you can often see that they do in-depth SEO analysis on in their particular SEO tools, whereas PPC teams tend to focus solely in Keyword Planner. But there's a lot of benefit in pulling those together. It's also important to understand where you can afford to go from a PPC perspective and supplement that with your organic efforts. So you need to consider lifetime value versus cost per acquisition. So how much value over a longer period of time is that one customer worth, and how much is it to convert them in the first place? But obviously, it goes without saying, across the board in digital marketing, testing is the name of the game, and it's no more important than in SEO and PPC. Just finally, you shouldn't always believe the myths. SEO has a sort of impression that it's a longer term game and PPC is short term, but that isn't entirely true. So there's often quick wins available within SEO if you dive into the data itself, whereas PPC, you often have that immediate learning phase before you sort of strike gold in terms of the high converting keywords. But you do really need to consider how soon do you need to see results and the level of investment you have available. But ultimately, you need to bring both the specialisms together as well as your wider marketing activity to deliver a consistent and coherent message across every touch point. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Some fantastic tips. Well, I'll pass over to Kerry because we've got a few questions and comments.
Great, thank you. So first we have a question from Chris Green. He asks, if age demographics suggest ads blindness as you get older, does this imply that targeting older users via ads is better?
I mean, this is maybe something you can try out. Of course, why not? If you look at the data of this research, but then again, there's so many changes happening. You don't really. This was an example. The ad blindness from mobile. Then you should do it. If you look at the numbers there, you have to see if that's more smartphone users. Would that be in that age category? You don't want to miss out on the volume there as well, because maybe they're using more desktop. That was a statistic that I showed was from mobile. But yeah, it's something you can test. Why not? And then see what happens. But I mean, if you have the investment, then I would not neglect one versus the other. I would still do SEO and ads.
Great, that's really useful. Thank you. We have another question from Chris. He says, I still hear the view that you get better organic performance if you run paid search. Is this true? If so, is it because Google's loading the dice in their favor, or because there are other benefits?
Do you want to go with that, or?
Yeah, sure.
I'll take that one. Yeah, there was obviously that sort of common opinion that there is obviously benefits of running paid campaigns, sort of from an organic perspective, but obviously that is very much a myth. But obviously combining the two and making sure that, like I said in my presentation, that you're there for both touch points, whether or not people want to engage and are happy to click an ad. I know that the data, and this isn't bad mouthing PPC teams, but the click-through rate is considerably higher on normal organic listings. I think it's around sort of 30% relative to 3 or 4%, according to some SparkToro research. But it's all about a combination of both, making sure that they complement each other, making sure that there's that consistent fee coming through.
Okay, great. We have a question from Lawrence. What advice do you give SEOs who are concerned that their paid search team is wasting marketing budget doing PPC for brand terms that could be better invested in SEO?
Yeah, we get that a lot with the brand terms, but we always recommend to continue using brand. I mean, if PPC is done right, anyway, on brand terms, you don't spend a lot of budget. It's really, really low. Like the CPC, average CPC is really low, but the PPC team really has to monitor it closely to see if there's any terms that are unrelated to that brand search. For example, if someone is looking for customer service phone number, something like this, that could be then put as a negative. So it's important to be close and watching the optimization. So maybe if both teams collaborate together, you can always ask, okay, what are we really spending on brand search? It's really not such a huge waste of budget. I think more budget is waste on generic terms in PPC. If you don't monitor it closely, then really a lot of money is really wasted.
Just to add to that, I completely agree with Pınar in terms of it's worth it from a brand protection perspective. If it's only you that are bidding on your brand term, then yeah, that does open up sort of conversations around, is this really necessary? But and it came out of the event yesterday in terms of constantly monitoring the SERPs, making sure that you're aware of what is going on, and if there is that, if a competitor has jumped in and is starting to bid on it. But yeah, that's the $1 million question in terms of should you bid on your brand term. But a lot of it comes down to brand strength as well, as to how much you need to protect it. It may be that consumer's going nowhere else, that they're very much aligned with your brand. But yeah, as a rule of thumb, brand protection is really key.
Great. I think that nicely answers Alice's question about whether you should bid or not bid on brand terms as well. We have a question from Anton. What is your view on bidding on personal names, not part of your brand, from an ethical point of view, besides effective / non-effective?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really recommend that so much. We had once a client, he was the owner, I think. Yeah, he was the owner of an airline, and he wanted to show up when his name was Googled. He wanted to show up with his airline, and we said, yeah, but look, people are Googling your name to find out something else, like your net worth, with who you are married, and stuff like this. So we thought that wouldn't make sense. So we had a couple meetings with him trying to convince me that. It's like 15 years ago, but I thought that was a funny example of using personal names. Yeah, sometimes people really want to see their company or ad popping up with in relation to their name. I mean, if you're not really like like your name is not a consulting or something, then of course you use a name. But if not, then if it's related to your brand, I wouldn't really recommend that. But Anton, you are a brand, you can use it, of course.
There's some instances where the personal brands are so strong that there may be more of an affiliation with an individual than the brand itself. So in that instance, yeah, there could be opportunities for it. But obviously, over time, you want to share that equity from the individual to the brand and vice versa. So ordinarily, probably not. Hopefully, they'll be able to find your site in organic search anyway, related to that. But yeah, you often see key individuals as part of brands getting a large search volume.
Great, thank you. So we have a few more questions. Pınar, so you just won a new client for SEO and PPC. How would you go about keyword research? For example, run PPC campaigns first and then see the impressions and clicks and use this data for SEO.
Yeah, most of the time, like if we start with PPC, then yes, we can use the insights that we get from there and include them in the SEO research as well. But normally we do it separately, like SEO teams do their research, and if there's something that can be feeded in, because if you don't have that particular keyword that in your campaign, then you don't see it in the search terms. So you have to do both still. Like it's not enough to use keyword research from PPC for SEO efforts, because there's a different sometimes what you want to achieve with the PPC campaign, the goal can be different than what you want to achieve with your SEO efforts.
And just on that, I'd emphasize the importance of that initial discovery meeting with the client as well. So making sure that you're aware of what terms are really important to them, and then making sure you have your own internal discovery session with members of both teams. So you're just on the same page and you have a clearly defined set of targets based on both of your research coming together. So you've got sort of a master keyword research deck sort of thing that you're working from.
Yeah, I think it's important that both teams, if they are separated, that they can access the other team's data. So most of the time this gets neglected. So I think that sharing this data and knowledge is really key for success in the long term.
Thank you. We have another question from Lawrence. Talking about brand protection, can you really stop competitors bidding on your trademark protected brand name? Will Google take action if you complain, and how long does this usually take?
They used to do that, but no, since a lot of years, everyone can bid on everybody's keyword. Just if you make a trademark exception, what Google does is that they protect, for example, if you're Nike, then another competitor cannot use it in the ad text that you have. Yes, that's something you can do, but still they can run on that keyword, but they just cannot put it in the ad text. So you can protect your brand like this, but you cannot avoid them bidding on it. It used to be like that years and years ago, but then they changed this policy.
Thank you. So one last question for Oliver. How much would you spend on? How much should you spend on a good PPC test? Would you say? How
much did you spend on a PPC campaign as a rule of thumb?
Oh, sorry, on a test.
Oh, okay. You can obviously start off small, start to see where those from a couple of £100 sort of thing in terms of testing, see where those sort of golden nuggets are sort of thing, before you ramp it up once you've got a clearer picture about what's working well and what's not, what's working, or what isn't working. You don't have to throw loads of money at it originally. You can work up over time once you know and you're confident that it's driving the business that you need from it. So yeah, even a very small budget can really give you a lot of those learnings that I touched upon, just building that over time.
Great, thank you. I think that's everything we have time for today. And back over to Joe.
Oh, thank you very much. Just a comment from Anton. He said that they just got a complaint from one of our contributor. Our PPC team was bidding on his name. We stopped. So no Google, but I guess people can still ask you to stop, and I suppose you can stop. Pınar, I just want to ask you, some people have commented on your profile pic for Twitter. Where did you get that from?
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I was researching interesting pictures for my presentation for Brighton SEO last year, and then I came across that one when I was Googling Wonder Woman, because my theme of the presentation was Wonder Woman. So yeah, that's how I came up with it. I don't really remember where it was from originally, but I can send it. I can share it with you guys. No
yes,
problem.
that'd be really good. And if anyone can get a hold of you, it was on your Twitter account, Ollie.Digital and Kubix Pinky, right?
Yes, that's right. It's still there.
Perfect. And I just wanted to say that we're running this Tea Time SEO all throughout May. So if you would like to talk at our event, please get in touch with Carrie. And also, we've just launched as well in May this stimulus package. So for those that already have an SEO software, and also so businesses that are already using something, and also those that are startups. So get in touch with our sales team, Rafa and Lawrence, and they can give you more information. So we have, of course, our Tea Time SEO continuing on Monday. We have it with Ola or Alexandra. She's from Blue Rank, and her colleague Justina was actually on a few weeks ago. And we also have Hannah Thorpe, who is Business Director at Found, and they're going to be talking to us about how to create meaningful SEO dashboards. So tune in on Monday at 4 p.m. BST with some your cake, with maybe a cup of coffee or tea, and we look forward to seeing you then. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.